Hello, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center. It is time for Taroscopes again. Taroscopes for the sign of Scorpio for the month of February 2024. It is a very potent time on planet Earth. February is, in its way, the beginning of the beginning. We've had a few other beginning of the beginning experiences, all which seem to have been happening at the first degree of Aquarius, which a lot of the things that happen this month occur at. And that, of course, is where Pluto is sitting. So before we get into the astrology, well, I am going to definitely get into the astrology, but I did pick a rune card and a crystal ally card, but I'll do that before the tarot reading. I'll leave that to the reading part of it. So let me just move a few things here and we can get started. We're going to be looking at the astrology for Scorpio for the month of February. So give me a moment here. All right, so we're looking at the sign of Scorpio. This is for February 2024. So Scorpio is a fixed water sign. Its mantra, or your mantra, Scorpio, is I desire. I desire. Really, what Scorpio is striving for is to really experience something that a desire that has yet to be fulfilled. There's almost an insatiable nature to Scorpio. Ultimately, Scorpio is about release and trust and healing and a willingness to transform. Your ruling planet, Scorpio, is Mars and Pluto. And guess what happens this month, Scorpio? Yep, Mars and Pluto conjunct. Okay, so this is an important month for you, Scorpio. Okay, let's continue here. And of course, this is where the planets fall. Through the year of 2024, we're in an 8 vibration this year. That is a Leo card up there, the strength card. It is located on the tree of life in the throat chakra, where divine will sits. Divine will. And you can see, just so as you look at this, and if you're confused, you're like, what is all this? This is the path of Mars, one of your rulers, for the year of 2024. It's pretty much smooth sailing till about December when it goes retrograde. But you don't really have to worry about that at this point anyway. Over here you see Pluto and Pluto in green, Pluto in yellow. Green is earth, yellow is air, red or orangey is fire, and green is earth. So that's how you can read these. But we can see that we have a shift from earth to air, and we also have a shift from earth to air. So things are going to get a lot less moving heavy objects around. And much more about the airwaves, so to speak. Okay. All right, let's see. So we're in February. I want you to take notice, Scorpio, that you have a lot of energy down in that 4th house. The 4th house is the house of soul. And of course, you are the sign associated with soul. And it's a very internal, it's a very personal place. You are pretty secretive as a sign, but all this energy down in the bottom of your chart here, especially with Pluto down there, and the new moon, this is a time when people may not actually even see you. like even if you take a class, you might like your camera might break, or you might break it, or you just might put the little flap down and say, nope, no camera today, right? Because there's a feeling of really needing to come from an internal place, I think, this month for you, um, Scorpio. We could see the sun this month is in your fourth house. Yes, very personal soul house, family, depth, right? Depth of feeling. And, I mean, it is a Cancer house, so you could have that period of like real withdrawal and introspection, but you could also have a concomitant period of expression. That's how Cancer does it. They go all the way in, and then they come all the way out, and then they go all the way in, they come all the way out. So you might feel that that sensibility for yourself and your energy this year. So it's this month. So there may be days when you're definitely you turn your camera on, and then there are days when you're not. So it's all cool. It's all cool, Scorpio. Like I have to tell you, I wouldn't dare even tell you it's cool because you guys are the coolest. All right. Control yourself, Dr. Skirbo. Okay. On February 2nd, we have Mercury making a waning sextile to Neptune. A lot of pretty much all of the aspects um, this this time of the year actually, and this month, except for the conjunctions, are the ends of cycles. And so some of those ends are a little more chaotic than others, but this is a sense of sort of like culmination and new beginnings for all of us. But this waning sextile between Mercury, the planet of communication, which is in Capricorn, and Neptune, which is the planet of spirit, divine. This is an opportunity for us to speak to our divine guidance, or connect with our divine guidance, or meditate, listen to God, Goddess, pray, ask to God, Goddess. More important, honestly, to listen, because this is when the information is flowing. So it's better to listen than to say anything necessarily, or even ask a question. It's time to listen because the answers are all there. On week 2, we look at the 5th of February, and we have Mercury ingress into Aquarius, right? And then on the very same day, which we have to expect, Mercury conjoins Pluto at 1 degree of Aquarius. So that 1 degree of Aquarius is the symbol is an old Adobe mission. And it's about seeing those things that have served us well through the test of time. And in some cases, those things need to be strengthened. And in some cases, they just need to be venerated for what they are. There's a lot of talk of old systems coming down, and it's true, they do come down, but it doesn't have to be a catastrophic drop. It's not a catastrophic drop. It doesn't mean that everything has to be swept away, but we need to have the discernment and the patience and the knowing and the understanding to improve on what needs improving, and tighten what needs tightening when it comes to what works and what doesn't work, right? What systems Pluto in Capricorn is the structure of things, and Pluto going through that was a real stress test. And when Pluto first moved in, the banking system did really collapse. I mean, honestly, right? Everything changed. And because it wasn't based on a truth. And so at this point, we do have Pluto going to Capricorn one last little period of time at the end of this year. So we still have we still have a little bit more time with Pluto and Capricorn, which a lot of people are like, oh, I can't wait. But there's something familiar about that and something that we know. And when Pluto moves into Aquarius for good, pretty much well, we're not going to see it go into Capricorn again in these bodies. So that letting go will be complete in 2025. It'll completely be in Pluto will be in Aquarius and in Aquarius and in Aquarius and Aquarius. And it's a whole new sort of level of it's a new world, really. And so um, we are again on the cusp of something, things that need cleaning up, things that need to leave, and things that need to be shored up. Mercury ingress into Aquarius, Pluto conjoins it, first degree of Aquarius, starting the synodic cycle of allowing the soul, the world soul, to express itself, Mercury. But it takes a year. It takes about 6 months when Mercury is opposite Pluto to know what seed was planted, to see the whole picture in the process between now and then. And that'll happen when Mercury is in Leo, self-expressive Leo. Um, when that does happen, I wonder if it'll be in Leo. Yeah, I think it'll be in Leo. We'll have a better idea of what's been wrought, and then we take the seed, the harvest of the seeds planted at this conjunction, and we disseminate it out into the world. So this is a creative process for all of us. For you, Scorpio, this is in your 4th house, from the deepest place within you. And let me tell you, Scorpio can be pretty abysmal, just meaning you don't know where the bottom is. But it's deep. Scorpio is deep. Scorpio is deep. And we can only stay, we can only stay underwater for so long. And then we rise up, take a breath, and move off into Sag, right? Scorpio. All right. On the 7th, Venus makes a trine to Uranus. If you've been looking to get out of a relationship, this is a natural time of where it's easier to get out of something. And it could be love or money, right? So that's that. And there's also an openness to sort of more what's the word I'm looking for? More inventive things, more out of the box things. And that's okay, actually. That's okay. Um, it's not, you're not being crazy for going in a more progressive direction. You're being smart because that's the direction of the future, guys. Progressivism. All right. We also have on that day Mars making a sextile to Neptune. Neptune is divinity and Mars is action. And so we can act on our inspirations, or the divine can act through us. The divine can act through us. Mars is in Capricorn, so it's functioning very well. It likes being in Capricorn. Capricorn gives Mars the structure that it works best in, with God or goddess or all that is, with divinity, Neptune at the helm. It's a very powerful time, let me tell you, very powerful. A lot of people are terrified of this year. Oh, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, it's going to be this. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time on what people say the world is going to be. This is the time to roll up your sleeves and manifest the world that you see. What is it? What is your deepest desire? It's time we can manifest that. And, they will get, if it's a lower vibrational desire, that could get met as well. It's just, why waste this precious time on things that, are lower vibration? This is a time to ask and decide and let the universe show you the way, which I think is something that Scorpio understands. In a way, I think all water signs understand that if you get into the flow of things, then you will go exactly where you need to go. And that's very, very true of all. It's true of all of us, but it's especially true of the water signs. You know, sometimes Cancer gets all like fussed up about, oh, but you know, what about, and they need me, I'm needed. What if, you know, and so you don't go along with the flow. And Scorpio's like too busy like plotting their revenge to notice that the river might be flowing in a different way, and it's there's calmer waters over here. And then Pisces, well, Pisces is always, I don't think well, Pisces never gets out of the river, so that's all, it's different. It's a different thing. It's a different thing. Pisces, I don't think has a choice in a way but to go with the river, and maybe not get waylaid by things like drugs that will certainly send them down the river, but it may not be the river that they could have had if they did it uh, without it becoming a crutch, you know. All right, so where are we? Where are we? On the 8th, Sun makes a last quarter square to Uranus. This is crisis producing. We could see some crisis out in the world. It's an 18-9 vibration, which is the moon card. It's kind of lunatical, lunacy. I was trying to make a word. It didn't work. On the 9th, we have the new moon in Aquarius, 21 degrees of Aquarius. And it's the start of the year of the wood dragon. Wood being the color green is associated with wood in Chinese. That's why I did it green. And wood is about growth. So and dragon is like the most powerful of the signs. So there is so much power to grow something. Now, my question is, what do you want to grow? Right? What do you want to grow? Don't worry about what other people are growing. Grow what you want to grow. This new moon happens in the 4th house. This, you might even like find your dream home, or the home that you've dreamt of, or the home that you've seen in your dreams. And this is a time to like put those roots down with Pluto there, right? Or a home base that will, as Pluto, one of your ruling signs, by the way, moves through that house for the next 20 years. You're building a foundation of Aquarian ideals, right? Humanitarianism. I mean, imagine the things that you can build. It's a powerful time for this. I'm telling you, guys, don't let this pass you by. Of course, who am I talking to? I'm talking Scorpios. You know exactly when you see a good thing. You have instincts about that stuff. You don't have to think about it and chew it over like a Cancer. It's Scorpio. All right. And 21 degrees of Aquarius. Let me oh, that's not going to help me. Let me find symbol for that. The new moon. Okay. Hold on. I was going to say that doesn't look like 21 of Aquarius. It's in 21 of Pisces. Sorry, guys. A disappointed, disillusioned woman courageously faces a seemingly empty life. The capacity to meet emotionally upsetting experiences in human relationships with strength of character and personal integrity. We are developing resilience under adversity. So this is a fraught time. No point in blowing sunshine where sunshine ain't supposed to go. But we are strong enough and we can do it, and we're soulful enough. and it's the year of the wood dragon. So sometimes, and this may be true of Scorpio almost more than anybody else, is that you have to get to the edge of it. And there's something about going to the edge of something that it's like, I understand enough about this, and now it's time to move in a direction that'll bring me more to myself. Because Scorpio is a sign associated with the other. And when you have Scorpio in your chart and you have a lot of Scorpio, you are very aware of what others need, of what others want, of what you want in others. But there's sometimes an inability to sort of come back to yourself. And that's really the Taurus part of the axis, because every sign has an axis. And Taurus is a sign that will dig its heels in and say no. And Scorpio is a sign that will take things right to the end, to the edge. And then, the Taurus side has to reel you back in. So on the 10th day after the new moon and the start of the year of the wood dragon, we have Mercury making a last quarter square to Jupiter. These are the two planets associated with the mind. And so we could be, arguing with ourselves, quite frankly. Mercury here is in Aquarius, and Jupiter in Taurus, both fixed signs, not easily changed. Sometimes with these last quarter squares, especially if Uranus or Saturn is involved, things break. There's a break. It's like things don't just, it has to break first before there's a change. So something usually gets like broken, glass, china, whatever, tree. Week. So anyway, so on the 10th, it's important to trust your intuition instead of, it's like, this doesn't make any sense, but I get this feeling that I should do this, right? So do that, because intuition is stronger at this point in the cycle than logic. And when in doubt, gut it out. Like, go where you gut. Okay. I'm so good. I gotta write this all down, man. I think these little things I say, they could be a book. They could be a book of little things you say. Kind of cute. Oh, maybe it's just my own mind. Okay, here's your big week, guys. Your sign, Mars. Now, a little sad because Mars likes being in Capricorn. You are co-ruled by Mars, so this counts for you too. And Capricorn is a sign that you meld well with, so it makes sense that you like it when Mars is in Capricorn, moves into Aquarius. And you already have Pluto there, so it's a lot of pressure already there. And Mars comes along on the next day and makes a conjunction. In the meantime, between Mars's ingress into Aquarius and its conjunction with Pluto, Venus has something to say, making a sextile to Neptune. Venus and Neptune, Neptune, the higher octave of Venus. Venus is love and money, and Neptune is healing, unity, forgiveness. Divinity, the love of God, Goddess, all that is. This is a flow of healing love in a humanitarian direction. So there's a lot of intensity, but again, the roots, the possibilities. Imagine if we were to just say, you know what, this seems like a big waste of time, all this suffering and stuff. Let's just give people what they need, what they want. Let's support them. Let's work together and make the community better. Imagine that. How it would change everything. Everything that we fight against out of fear. And as you know, JFK, no, RFK, no, or the FDR, said, the only thing to fear is fear itself, right? All right. So Pluto conjoins Mars at 1 degree of Aquarius. Right there in your fourth house. This could also be, this is making the unconscious desires of Pluto conscious through Mars, through the actions of Mars. And it's happening right there in your fourth house. So this is a fantastic time. If you want to build a foundation to something, this is a good start, this energy. And you may know exactly what you want to build the foundations to. But it's time. It's time to root yourself and take your place. Take your place. Okay. February 16th, Venus ingresses into Aquarius, the last of the personal planets to dip our toe into the Aquarius pool. The same day, we have Mercury making a last quarter square to Uranus. Interesting because Uranus is in a Venus ruled sign as Venus goes into Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus. Very Uranian day, very different kind of day with Venus. And Venus, when Venus moves into Aquarius, she takes off her business suit that she wore so well when she had her when she was in Capricorn. But now she's puts on her spandex and her her roller derby blade, her roller derby shoes, and she goes and she does what Aquariuses do, just like it's about being friendly, being a team player. Mercury squaring Uranus, things can feel a little crazy, so just be aware of that. Last quarter squares are crisis in consciousness. It's about breaking out of old patterns, reorienting yourself, becoming an authority in your own life. That's the energy of the square. And this could be the higher self saying, hey, the higher mind, hey, come on, let's go. It's time. It's time. Wake up. Uh-oh. Yes, even in Florida, you're allowed to wake up. Maybe especially in Florida. It's time for all of us to be awake. On the 17th, we have Venus conjunct Pluto, 1 degree of Aquarius. Important day energetically. It vibrates to the Ace of Wands. 27-9 is the Ace of Wands. So there's this energy of endings because it's a 9 vibration, but Wands is about new beginnings. So the end of a belief and a new inspiration perhaps coming up for this, while Venus conjuncts Pluto at 1 of Aquarius. What a phenomenally powerful day this is, Scorpio. And this is all happening where? In your fourth house, in the foundation of your chart, the roots. Planting the seeds of transformation, Scorpio. Oh boy. February 18th, week 4, we have the sun ingress into Pisces. Oh, thank goodness. So the sun, out of mental, ingenious, group orientated, mental. Did I say mental twice? Mental. I'm going to say it 3 times. Energy of Aquarius to the great cosmic sea that is Pisces. This is the healing balm. This is, after all the like of Aquarius, this is when we go into the great cosmic sea and we float around for a while. And in that floating around, those things that need to dissolve away will dissolve away for us. And those things that need to be nurtured by the waters of the great cosmic sea get nurtured. So by the time the sun rolls around and moves into Aries, a new life has gestated. There's a real gestation with Pisces. On the 22nd, Venus and Mars make a conjunction. Venus and Mars, of course, are the 2 planets associated with women and men, Venus, Mars, right? And their relationship in the sky and in your chart will indicate how you relate to other people. Some people, relationship is like easy peasy. Others, it's a struggle to survive. Others, it's a struggle to free yourself. Others, it's an awareness that there's somebody else in the room. I mean, it depends on what Venus and Mars are doing in a chart, but they're starting their cycle. It's a 2-year cycle because it's Mars. They're always 2 years. And it conjoins at 7 degrees of Aquarius. 7 degrees of Aquarius is a child being born out of an egg. Mork from orc, really. But it's about a new consciousness being born. Very exciting times we are in. A new consciousness being born in what? In how to relate to other human beings, Aquarius. How to relate, Venus and Mars. Venus and Mars 2 years ago had 2 conjunctions to start their synodic cycle. The first one occurred in Capricorn. I believe it was 17 degrees of Capricorn, but I could be wrong about that. And then each one of them had to pass through the gauntlet of Pluto, which was at the end of, at that time, end of Capricorn, I believe. And then as soon as they got to the other side, they were at 0001 minute of Aquarius. And they came together at 1 minute of Aquarius. Not 1 degree, 1 minute of Aquarius. And they conjoined. And now they do it again, only now they're firmly in Aquarius, 7 degrees of Aquarius, where we find Mork from Orc. Can you imagine? Here's something else we could imagine. Can you imagine if everybody you knew was a little bit like Robin Williams, right? Irreverent, funny, brilliant, psychic. Wow. What the world needs now is a lot of Robin Williams. All right. On the 23rd, we have Mercury dip into Pisces. Now our mind is in the great cosmic sea. Enjoy it. Of course, I have a moon in Pisces, so I love anything's in Pisces. Well, almost anything. Okay. On the 24th, we have a full moon in the sign of Virgo. This full moon, Virgo, here is your 11th house. It's your house of friends. It's your house of new goals as well. Having a full moon there means something is coming to fruition. It is the axis of love, but it's more impersonal love because we're dealing with the 11th house. But we all love our friends dearly, right? It's impersonal because we don't take what they do personally. Their life is theirs. But it's different than like a relationship where you're trying to fulfill each other's needs and in the way that relationships can do sometimes, right? But we'll have an awareness around the axis of love for you, so that should be fun. Meanwhile, I didn't mention that when the Sun and Mercury move into Pisces, it's moving into your house of creative self-expression. So you will be inspired by your trip through the great cosmic sea. And so this is a really creative time for you as well with these 2 planets in your 5th house. And then eventually Mars will move in there, right? And Venus will move in there next month. So the journey of creative self-expression continues for you, Scorpio. On the 27th, Mars makes a last quarter square to Jupiter. Mars is action, Jupiter is expansion. This is just a more action, and we're dealing with Taurus and Aquarius. So this could be action on getting resources to people who need resources. On the 28th, this is a big day. We have the Sun make a superior conjunction to Mercury. Superior in that Mercury is not retrograde. It's actually on the other side of the Sun, and so it's almost acts like an opposition for us. It's the furthest, really, that the Sun, that Mercury gets from us, I think. And so, but it is a time of illumination of an idea. It happens at 10 degrees of Pisces. Mercury then moves on to Saturn, because Saturn is right there, and then the Sun moves into Saturn. So it's all happening on the same day. So we have 3 conjunctions on the same day in the sign of Pisces, and I'll read the saving symbol for you. On an 11 day, it's a 3811 vibration day, and that's about choice. 11 is about choice. And it's a Scorpio vibration. And 3811 is the Queen of Cups. So it is a Scorpio, the sustainer of the element of water. And I'm going to read about 10 degrees of Pisces, but let me just go to the end here. On the 29th, we have Mercury making a waning sextile to Jupiter. Back on, what was it, the 10th? Those 2 planets were like at cross purposes with each other. Your mind was like you're having arguments with yourself. This is when you realize that you agree with yourself. Actually, the waning sextile is progressive thinking, humanitarianism, raising all boats, working in a community in a very sort of functional way. And let me give you the 10 degrees of Pisces here. So this is the start of the synodic cycle between Mercury and Saturn and the Sun and Saturn. Mercury and Saturn synod beginning at 10 degrees of Pisces. Mercury is how our mind works. It's our curiosity. It's our nervous system. Saturn is structure, but also limitations. And so this cycle will show us perhaps through the cycle just how far our mind can take us, and at a certain point our mind can't take us any further, and we have to we're not just mind, so there are other things that we have at our disposal, but there is a limitation of mind. And then the Sun conjunct Saturn. The Sun is the center of our solar system, and Saturn really is the outer edge, because it's the last planet we can see with our naked eye. So everything beyond Saturn, we need to use a piece of technology, except certain times of the year you can see Uranus, but very, 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 very vaguely, right? But for the most part, everything beyond Saturn is, we have to take on faith in a way that it's there. Even though we have telescopes now, we know it's there and we've seen it and we have the technology just with our own eyes, right? With our own eyes. So Saturn is the edge of 3-dimensional reality, really. And everything beyond that is, it becomes more theoretical, becomes more quantum, and we're in those fields now. We're seeing further into the universe than we've ever seen before in recent memory. Maybe there were times on other planets and other things where you saw it all, you knew it. I mean, the Mayas knew where things were in deep space. I mean, how do they know that? Well, maybe they flew through it on a trip. All right, 10 of Pisces. An aviator pursues his journey flying through ground obscuring clouds. Man's ability to develop powers and skills which, by transcending natural limitations, allow him to operate in the mental, spiritual realms. We're going to need all of both our minds and all the other things that we have, our intuition, our instincts, um, our senses, all our senses, to move through this very powerful time as we, you know, make things better. All right, guys. Next is the tarot reading. So let's get to that. Let me stop the share. And oops, I can't see myself. All right, I'll fix that. Not to worry, that will get fixed. Okay, so I picked a rune card and I picked a crystal ally card. And so I think we'll look at the crystal ally first for you, Scorpio. And unfortunately, I can't find the book that goes with the crystal ally cards. I don't know what happened to it. It's here somewhere, just hiding. But I do have another crystal book, and we got herderite, which, according to the crystal allies, is evolution. This is a storm element card, and the storm element has within it all the other elements: fire, air, earth, and water. And then storm as the fifth element, sort of like the ether element. In this deck, maybe it could be considered the major arcana, right? In a deck like this. And it activates all the chakras. All the storm cards activate all the chakras. So it says here, herderite is a mineral that can be used for the treatment of imbalance in behavior patterns and to stimulate psychic abilities. It encourages the exploration of all areas of one's life. So exploration, which is very much an energy for Scorpio. It stimulates directness and passion, allows one to recognize both the needs of the moment and the impact of the potential future consequences. It can be used to promote leadership qualities as an excellent stone facilitating tact and cooperation within groups. Well, that's good because you have a lot of group orientation stuff. Bringing an interactive harmony to the collective relationships. It says here, herderite can also be useful in the treatment of disorders of the pancreas, spleen, and gallbladder. And I got this. This book is Love is in the Earth, a Kaleidoscope of Crystals by Melody. I've had this book for maybe 30 years. All right. So that's the crystal, herderite, evolution. And the rune card that I picked is Perth. Oops, can you see that? Hold on. Sorry about this. Oh, there it is. There we go. We can see the three fates there, casting the bones, casting the runes. And I'll read what Ralph Bloom says about this. Initiation, something hidden, a secret matter. A hieratic or mystery rune to that which is beyond our frail manipulative powers. Perth is on the side of heaven, the unknowable, and has associations with the phoenix, a mystical bird which consumes itself in the fire and then rises from its own ashes. Its ways are secret and hidden. Incidentally, there are three symbols for Scorpio. You probably know the scorpion, the eagle, and the phoenix. So this is your rune. Sure rune. Powerful forces of change are at work here, yet when it is achieved, it is not easily or readily shared. After all, becoming whole, the means of it, is a profound secret. Everybody's journey is a personal one. That's why when you try to tell people that they have to do it in a certain way, it doesn't, it doesn't help. if they ask your advice about something, that's different. If they say, if have you been in this situation, what have you tried? Like that's different. But telling people what to do without really knowing them is I don't know, it seems um help when asked, I guess what I want to say. On the side of the earthly or mundane, there may be well be surprises, gains, or rewards that you did not anticipate. Well, isn't that nice? On the side of human nature, this rune is symbolized by the flight of the eagle, soaring flight, free from entanglement, lifting yourself above the endless ebb and flow of ordinary life to acquire a broader vision. All are indicated here. So it's interesting, right, that there's wings on this. And then, of course, this is death and rebirth, right? This is a rebirth, an evolution. We evolve through our emotional body. We evolve through Pluto, the soul, and that's your ruling planet. So you're up. You're up, Scorpio. All right. So those were the runes and the rune card and the uh, crystal. Herderite is not a crystal that most people have in their crystal bag. You probably have to check out and see. I know the Crystal Ally, there used to be a service that you could get any of the, the crystals in the Crystal Ally deck, sent to you. If it's mentioned there, then they have it. But you'd have to look around to see who has it. Herderite. I don't even have a piece, which is unusual because we have almost everything. Well, that people know about anyway. All right, so we start with the Five of Swords. Five of Swords. So there's been an abuse of power here, unfair tactics. Let's see what crosses that. The High Priestess, to know and to keep silent. There's a secret. I think there's a secret that you are considering exposing. Let's see what's underneath it. The King of Wands. I don't know if you're doing it to become the King of Wands or you're doing it to the King of Wands. See what's in the past. A change in fortune. A change in fortune. Let's see what's in the sky. The Page of Swords. You have to be careful. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I think I know what this is about. You need to keep your ear to you need to listen, because there are things being said that you'll only know if you listen really carefully. But the things that are being said by people who are not mature. So it's coming from an immature and an unlearned or an untested mind, perhaps. We have illumination. Which means that whatever's going on, it's going to be seen. Like, I don't even think you have to say anything. It's coming out. It's all coming out. Everything's coming out this month around a leader. And it could very well be that, oh, isn't that interesting? Look at the runes on this. Can you see the runes on see that? Does that look familiar? That's Perth. Wow. Wow. The black is the feminine, the white is the masculine. The high priestess sits on the path that directly connects spirit to our heart. So it comes like right into our heart chakra. Okay. How it's seen from the outside. You need to tend to your garden. You need to deal with your financial stuff. You need to nurture what you have. Domestic situation. The devil. Okay. Something has happened that you're going to be illuminated to. It might be somebody's addiction, something illegal, something immoral, something that you don't want to have any part of. I don't think. Okay, let me continue. Hopes and fears. Hierophant. This really is the law in a way. So depending on what side of the law you're on, depends on whether you want them or you don't, right? But that's sort of traditional, the traditional stuff. It's also the Constitution. Okay, we have the chariot. We have a chariot moving forward, moving on your path. Victory. So I'm not exactly sure what the scenario is here. Underneath it all, we have the Three of Pentacles, the Strength card, okay, and the Eight of Wands. All right. So you have to just do the work that you do. That's what these cards underneath are saying. Be strong, do the work you do because the information is coming. There's information coming about abuses of power, either by a leader or against a leader. It's all going to be seen. It's all coming out. You're going to see it. You're going to make a choice. And I've gotten this before for Scorpios. There's an addiction here, and you make the choice to free yourself from that. That's what these cards say. You're freeing yourself from that. That addiction may not be yours, however. It could be somebody in your life who has one that you haven't let go of because you think you can help them or whatever it is, but it's about freeing yourself. And in a way, there is a little bit of a hope. I feel like there's a little bit of a sense of, I can't handle this anymore. Let the authorities handle it. And I think that that's probably the best thing you could do for yourself. So, whatever that might mean to you. Um, this evolutionary process, Perth wants you to move forward. It's about not looking back anymore and facing the future that you don't know compared to the past that you do know. But that decision, I think, has already been made. You've already made that decision. Now it's just going to work itself out this month. At least that's what these cards look like to me. All right. Well, hopefully that resonates with you. You find it helpful. If not, you could come at the end of the month and see if it resonated. If you have time. I mean, everybody, how many things can you do, right? But if there is anything that's illegal, immoral is going to be seen. It's going to be seen. People aren't going to say, "What do you mean? They're not like that." No, you're crazy. Nothing like that. They're going to be, "Oh my God, you were right." Well, they might not. I mean, had you said something, maybe they'd say you were right. But you know what I mean. Like they're going to be like, "How did you know that?" Well, Scorpios know. All right, guys, have yourself a great month. Take care of yourselves. Be gentle with yourselves. Um, do your work. you know, build the foundations. Really put your roots in, um, because it's all changing, and we actually get there first. So, um, if you would like to take, I'm starting beginner's astrology class. I actually have two options. I have a Monday evening, 7 to 9, starting on the 5th of February, or an afternoon class starting on the 3rd. That's a Saturday, and that's the 3rd of February. And it's for 6 consecutive, in the case of my Saturday class, Saturdays. In case of my Monday class, six consecutive classes. They're all recorded, so if you can't make all of them, you get the recording. And I'll send you the notes and all of that stuff. So if you're interested in that, there's still spaces available for you to join us. I'm also started a Kabbalah, introduction to the Kabbalah, that began on the 18th of January. For some of you, you'll get this before that. If you want to join, you certainly can do that. And what else? What else? What else? I also do readings, combination of astrology, numerology, and Kabbalah, that help you to get to know yourself. Well, you know who you are, but it helps. It's transformational. It's transformational reading. I do an hour and a half, or I do an hour reading. If you can see yourself to do the little extra money that it costs to get the hour and a half, if it's your first reading, it's a little better because I don't have to stuff everything in. Get a little time to talk about it. But there's a lot of information. That's why I record it, so you can listen to it over and over again if you choose. All right, guys, take care. Have yourself a wonderful month, and I'll see you again in March. Namaste, everyone.